Sienna God, hello all. Oshisahiya, good evening, and Wado, thank you for watching. So today, this is day 6, part A of reading Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, an Inquiry into Values by Robert M. Pirsig. And we are reading this from our master bathroom, so welcome. Anyway, it's not finished yet. I'm still working on it, but my point is I'm up here because my son and our son and my hubster, they're putting together a tower garden that we got from Juice Plus years ago. I got a shipment of herbs in. I need to start freezing some more, so we're growing some, and they're putting that together down there, and I want to hurry up and get through this. So I did not I did not go back and watch the ending of the video to see where I left off at on my reading. So I'll back up a couple sentences to make sure I start all off in the right spot. But I can hear them, so I'm like trying to hurry because I want to get down there and help them, and then start on my piano lesson because I'm almost through this one section, and that lesson will be done. Then I get to pick whichever lesson I do next, and it's really excited. We use Simply Piano. No, I am not paid by them. No, I'm not plugging them. I'm just telling you why I'm trying to hurry. But I believe that you should start learning at any age. And even like, I mean, my son loves it, of course, but I'm having a blast. My hubster is partaking, and he is pleasantly surprised at what he's able to do. And me too, because he's like right on my heels, because I like play it throughout the day when I get some time. Anyway. Oh, there we go. To see him, you must see what he saw, and when you are trying to see the vision of an insane man, an oblique route is the only way to come at it. Otherwise, your own opinions block the way. There is only one axis to him that I can see as passable, and we still have a way to go. I've been going into all this business of analysis and definitions and hierarchies, not for their own sake, not for their own sake, but to lay the groundwork for an understanding of the direction in which Phaedrus went. I told Chris the other night that Phaedrus spent his entire life pursuing a ghost. That was true. The ghost he pursued was the ghost that underlies all of technology, all of modern science, all of Western thought. It was the ghost of rationality itself. I told Chris that he found the ghost, and that when he found it, he thrashed it good. I think in a figurative sense that is true. The things I hope to bring to light as we go along are some of the things he uncovered. Now the times are such that others may at last find them of value. No one then would see the ghost that Phaedrus pursued. But I think now that more and more people see it, or get glimpses of it in bad moments. A ghost which calls itself rationality, but whose appearance is that of incoherence and meaninglessness, which causes the most normal of everyday acts to seem slightly mad because of their irrelevance to anything else. This is the ghost of normal everyday assumptions, which declares that the ultimate purpose of life, which is to keep alive, is impossible, but that this is the ultimate purpose of life anyway, so that great minds struggle to cure diseases so that people may live longer, but only madmen ask why. One lives longer in order that he may live longer. There is no other purpose. That is what the ghost says. At Baker, where we stop, the thermometers are reading 108 degrees in the shade. Good Lord. When I take my gloves off, the metal of the gas tank is so hot I can't touch it. The engine is making ominous nicking sounds from overheating. Very bad. I bet. The rear tire has worn badly too, and I feel with my hand that it's almost as hot as the gas tank. We're going to have to slow down, I say. What? I don't think we should go over 50, I say. John looks at Sylvia and she looks at him. John looks at Sylvia and she looks at him. Something has already been said between them about my slowness. They both look as if they've about had it. We just want to get there fast, John says, and they both walk toward a restaurant. The chain has been running hot and dry too. In the right-hand saddlebag, I rummage for a can of spray lubricant, find it, then start the engine and spray the moving chain. The chain is still so hot the solvent evaporates almost instantly. Then I squirt a little oil on it, let it run for a minute, and shut the engine off. Chris waits patiently and then follows me into the restaurant. I thought you said the big slump was going to come on the second day, Sylvia said as we approached the booth they are in. Second or third, I reply. Or fourth or fifth? Maybe. She and John look at each other again with the same expression they showed before. It seems to say, three's a crowd. They may want to go ahead fast and wait for me in some town up ahead. I'd suggest it myself, except that if they go much faster, they won't be waiting for me in some town. It'll be by the side of the road. I don't know how the people here stand this, Sylvia says. Well, it's hard country, I say with a little irritation. They know it's hard before they come here and are ready for it. I add, if one person complains, he just makes it that much harder for the others. They've got stamina. They know how to keep on going. John and Sylvia don't say much, and John finishes his Coke early, as if off to a bar for a snort. I go out and check the cycle luggage again and find that the new pack has been compressing a little, and so take up the slack. What? Sorry, I was hearing my son, and then I thought I read this wrong. Let me see. A little, and so take up the slack and the ropes and retie them. Oh, yeah. Chris points to a thermometer in direct sunlight, and we see it has gone all the way above the scale at 120 degrees. Good night. Before we are out of town, I am sweating again, I bet. The cold drying off period doesn't last even half a minute. The heat just slams into us. Even with dark sunglasses, I have to squint my eyes into slits. My God, there's nothing but burning sand and pale sky so bright it's hard to look anywhere. It's just become white hot everywhere. A real inferno. Good Lord. You know, I used to read this to y'all, or do my readings in general when my son was sleeping, but his bed is like roughly right over the pantry pretty much. And this book has just been making me laugh with all like the real life things that it's saying. And it's just like, oh my God, I can imagine, like, that's freaking hot or whatever, you know? And I usually just start laughing and I want to be able to laugh without, you know. Anyway, John up ahead is speeding faster and faster. I give up on him and slow it down to 55. Unless you're just looking for trouble in this heat, you don't run tires at 85. A blowout on this stretch could really be it. I suppose, and yeah, I always wondered how they handle blowouts on motorcycles. Like, good Lord. I suppose they took what I said as a kind of rebuke, but I didn't have that in mind. I'm no more comfortable than they are in this heat, but there's no point in dwelling on it. All day while I've been thinking and talking about Phaedrus, they must have been thinking about how bad all of this is. All this is. That's what's really wearing them down. The thought. Some things can be said about Phaedrus as an individual. He was a knower of logic, the classical system of the system, which describes the rules and procedures of the systematic thought by which analytic knowledge may be structured and interrelated. He was so swift at this. His Stanford-Binet IQ, which is essentially a record of skill at analytic manipulation, was recorded at 170, a figure that occurs in only one person in 50,000. He was systematic. But to say he thought and acted like a machine would be to misunderstand the nature of his thought. It was not like pistons and wheels and gears all moving at once, massive and coordinated. The image of a laser beam comes to mind instead. A single pencil of light of such terrific energy and such extreme concentration it can be shot at the moon and its reflection seen back on Earth. Phaedrus did not try to use his brilliance for general illumination. He sought one specific distant target and aimed for it and hit it. And that was all. General illumination of that target he hit now seems to be left for me. In proportion to his intelligence, he was extremely isolated. There's no record of his having had close friends. He traveled alone, always. Even in the presence of others, he was completely alone. People sometimes felt this and felt rejected by it, and so did not like him. But their dislike was not important to him. Oh yeah, I felt that before. People are like, you don't want to go out and do anything, right? But they don't care to ask why I don't want to go out and do anything. They just like condemn me for it. Oh, she thinks she's better than us. She's just antisocial. Like, we're just not good enough for her. Well, excuse me. And I'm like, clearly I've never said any of that. So that's on you, boo-boo. His wife and family seem to have suffered the most. His wife says those who tried to go beyond the barriers of his reserve found themselves facing a blank. My impression is that they were starved for some kind of affection, which he never gave. No one really knew him. That is evidently the way he wanted it. And that's the way it was. Perhaps his aloneness was the result of his intelligence. Perhaps it was the cause. But the two were always together, an uncanny, solitary intelligence. This doesn't do it, though, because this and the image of a laser beam convey the idea that he was completely cold and unemotional, and that is not so. In his pursuit of what I have called the ghost of rationality, he was a fanatic hunter. One fragment becomes especially vivid now of a scene in the mountains where the sun was behind the mountain. Half an hour and an early twilight had changed the trees and even the rocks to almost blackened shades of blue and gray and brown. Phaedrus had been there 3 days without food. His food had run out, but he was thinking deeply and seeing things and was reluctant to leave. He was not far from where he knew there was a road and was in no hurry. In the dusk coming down the trail, he saw a movement, and then what seemed to be a dog approaching on the trail, a very large sheepdog, or an animal more like a husky. And he wondered what would bring a dog to this obscure place at this time of evening. He disliked dogs, but this animal moved in a way that forestalled these feelings. It seemed to be watching him, judging him. Phaedrus stared into the animal's eyes for a long time and for a moment felt some kind of recognition. Then the dog disappeared. He realized much later it was a timber wolf, and the memory of this incident stayed with him for a long time. I think it stayed with him because he had seen a kind of image of himself. A photograph can show a physical image in which time is static, and a mirror can show a physical image in which time is dynamic. But I think what he saw on the mountain was another kind of image altogether, which was not physical and did not exist in time at all. It was an image nevertheless, and that is why he felt recognition. It comes to me vividly now because I saw it again last night as the visage of Phaedrus himself. Like the timber wolf on the mountain, he had a kind of animal courage. He went his own way with unconcern for consequences that sometimes stunned people, and stuns me now to hear about it. He did not often swerve to the right or the left. I've discovered that. Yeah, I read that right. But this courage didn't arise from any idealistic idea of self-sacrifice, only from the intensity of his pursuit, and there was nothing noble about it. I think his pursuit of the ghost of rationality occurred because he wanted to wreak havoc, really. Wreak revenge. I was thinking, man, usually wreak is for like wreak havoc or whatever. Anyway, wreak revenge on it. Because he felt he himself was so shaped by it. He wanted to free himself from his own image. He wanted to destroy it because the ghost was what he was, and he wanted to be free from the bondage of his own identity. In a strange way, this freedom was achieved. This account of him must sound unworldly, but the most unworldly part of it is all yet to come. This is my own relationship to him. This has been forestalled and obscured until now, but nevertheless must be known. I first discovered him by inference from a strange series of events many years ago. One Friday, I had gone to work and gotten quite a lot done before the weekend, and was happy about that, and later that day drove to a party where, after talking to everybody too long and too loudly and drinking way too much, went into a back room to lie down for a while. When I awoke, I saw that I slept the whole night. Oh my. Because now it was daylight, and I thought, my God, I don't even know the name of the hosts, and wondered what kind of embarrassment this was going to lead to. The room didn't look like the room I had laid down in, but it had been dark when I came in, and I must have been blind drunk anyway. I got up and saw that my clothes were changed. That's weird. These were not the clothes I had worn the night before. I walked out the door, but to my surprise, the doorway led not to rooms of a house, but into a long corridor. As I walked down the corridor, I got the impression that everyone was looking at me. 3 different times a stranger stopped me and asked how I felt. Thinking they were referring to my drunken condition, I replied that I didn't even have a hangover, which caused one of them to start to laugh, but then catch himself. Okay. At a room at the end of the corridor, I saw a table where there was activity of some sort going on. I sat down nearby, hoping to remain unnoticed until I got all this figured out. But a woman dressed in white came up to me and asked if I knew her name. I read the little name clip on her blouse. She didn't see that I was doing this and seemed amazed and walked off in a hurry. Excuse me. When she came back, there was a man with her. and he was looking right at me. He sat down next to me and asked me if I knew his name. I told him what it was and was as surprised as they were that I knew it. It's very, very early for this to be happening, he said. This looks like a hospital, I said. They agreed. How did I get here, I asked. Thinking about the drunken party, the man said nothing and the woman looked down. Very little was explained. It took me more than a week to deduce from the evidence around me that everything before my waking up was a dream and everything afterward was reality. There was no basis for distinguishing the two other than the growing pile of new events that seemed to argue against the drunk experience. Little things appeared like the locked door, the outside of which I could never remember seeing, and a slip of paper from the probate court telling me that some person was committed as insane. Did they mean me? It was explained to me finally that, you, in quotes, you have a new personality now. But this statement was no explanation at all. It puzzled me more than ever, since I had no awareness at all of any quote-unquote old personality. If they had said, in quotes, you are a new personality, it would have been much easier. Much clearer. That would have fitted. They had made the mistake of thinking of a personality as some sort of possession, like a suit of clothes which a person wears. But apart from a personality, what is there? Some bones and flesh, a collection of legal statistics, perhaps, but surely no person. The bones and flesh and legal statistics are the garments worn by the personality, not the other way around. But who was the old personality, whom they had known and presumed I was a continuation of? This was my first inkling of the existence of Phaedrus many years ago. In the dark days and weeks and years that have followed, I've learned much more. He was dead, destroyed by order of the court, and forced by the transmission of high-voltage alternating current through the lobes of his brain, approximately 800 mils of amperage at durations of 0.5 to 1.5 seconds, had been applied on 28 consecutive occasions, in a process known technologically as, in quotes, annihilation ECS. End quote. A whole personality had been liquidated without a trace in a technologically faultless act that has defined our relationship ever since. I have never met him, never will. What? And yet strange wisps of his memory suddenly match and fit the road and desert bluffs and white-hot sand all around us. There is a bizarre concurrence, and then I know he has seen all of this. Okay, so Phaedrus is him before he was committed. Is this right? And did I catch that correctly? Okay, hold on. Huh. White hot sand all around us, and there is a bizarre concurrence. And then I know he's seen all of this. He was here, otherwise I would not know it. He had to be. And in seeing these sudden coalescences of vision, and in recall of some strange fragment of thought whose origin I have no idea of, I'm not a clairvoyant, a spirit medium receiving messages from another world. That is how it is. I see things with my own eyes, and I see things with his eyes too. He once owned them. These eyes. That is the terror of it. These gloved hands I now look at, steering the motorcycle down the road, were once his. And if you can understand the feeling that comes from that, then you can understand real fear, the fear that comes from knowing there is nowhere you can possibly run. We enter a low-rimmed canyon before long, and a roadside stop I've been waiting for appears. A few benches, a little building, and some tiny green trees with hoses running to their bases. John, so help me God, is at the exit on the other side, ready to pull out onto the highway. I ignore this and pull up by the building. Chris jumps off, and we pull the machine back up on the stand. The heat rises from the engine as if it were on fire, throwing off waves that distort everything around it. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the other cycle come back. When they arrive, they are both glaring at me. Sylvia says, "We're just angry." I shrug my shoulders and walk to the drinking fountain. We'll leave it there. Done the go hang, you mean a good chance. Can you tell me again? Love you, mean it.